Good morning, everyone. This is Real Conversations with Sheeda and
Nikki.
So this is episode 3 of our podcast with Real Conversations with Sheeda and Nikki. And this episode, we will be talking about ways to find your purpose in life and just talking about what really worked for us and what has been working for us when it comes to finding your purpose in life.
I think it's very important, this conversation, because most people don't know that they have a purpose in life. We never think about why we're here and what we're here for.
Yeah.
And finding your purpose was, to me, like one of the greatest takeaways I've actually ever come across. Last year, I really began to find out what my purpose is, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in the podcast. So, as far as what is your purpose? What is your why?
Yeah. So, this was something that I actually learned from Nicole. So she had asked me to write down my why and to write down 10 reasons why, you want a better life for yourself, and write it down in a journal. And then come up with 10 reasons why you won't give up, and write those down as well. When she told me that, I was like, okay. So one day, I did that. I was like, I really need to get serious about finding my purpose and really, having that drive to keep going, to not give up. So one day I did. I wrote down my 10 reasons why. And a lot of the reasons why, it wasn't even materialistic things. My reasons why were really based around my family and my children, and just having a solid foundation for them so that they won't have the same struggles as me, So, so I did that. I wrote my 10 reasons why, and 10 reasons why I wouldn't give up. And Nicole was like, once you do that, she was like, look in the mirror and say them out loud to yourself in the mirror, and then sign your name and date it. And I felt like that was a real reflection moment for me, because it really writing it down and putting the words to it and just saying it to myself really I guess, I don't know, sealed the deal. Not sealed the deal, but it was for real. I'm committing myself to this and I'm not going to give up. So I felt that was really helpful for me. And then every once in a while, I do go back and reflect, and read my reasons why. And then I read the reasons why I won't give up. And it keeps me going. It really does. So it's like a contract to yourself.
Yeah.
Would you say that it's like a contract?
Yeah, I would say that too, because in life we know about short-term and long-term goals.
Yeah.
We know about those things, but when you really sit down and then you're like, okay, this is where I want to be in the next 1 to 2 years. This is where I want to be in the next 5 to 10 years. And then 25 years, this and that. It really kind of helps you reflect wow, I never really thought about what my life will look like, 10 years from now, 5 years from now. It really kind of helps you to put some things in perspective for yourself.
Yeah.
So that you can be the person that you want to be and accomplish those goals, get those goals done. A lot of times I feel like we're living life just from day to day.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do that, it's just we're just here existing. We're not living in our purpose.
Right.
And I do have to give a shout out to my life coach, Latoya Okia. I actually found her on YouTube. So she was the one that actually helped me to write those goals down and take a look at myself, write it down, sign the contract. Also, too, when we're talking about these goals and writing down our goals, I would say before I actually was putting like, what do I want my life to look like in a year or 2, 5 years, 10 years, you have to really set some realistic goals. When I kind of journeyed on my road of entrepreneurship, I really got started in September. And I had said, oh, by December, a few months later, my business was going to manifest $10,000 a month, starting in December. Not saying that couldn't have happened and that can happen for some people, but that was not a realistic goal because, for one, I'm working a full-time job. So I can't dedicate, every single waking hour. I still have my primary job that pays the bills. And also, too, you got to make sure that you're putting in a lot of focus also as well. And not saying that I wasn't focusing on my business, but, you have to learn different things about your business. And even now, I'm still learning so much. So that was not a realistic goal. So if you have any goals, when you do start setting your goals, just kind of make sure they're realistic. And kind of on the other podcast that we talked about before, if you don't meet those goals within a certain time frame, that's okay. Don't be too hard on yourself. Just continue to keep going, and you know that you have something to look forward to.
I think reason 4, coming up with the 10 reasons why, also is to help, like you said, basically it helps you to create a vision for yourself, and it puts your ideas into perspectives, and it makes them more, obtainable and tangible, so you have like kind of a layout of what you want things to look like in 2 to 5 years. And you're able to stay on track. You're more likely to stay on track if you're, if you have a vision. Because a lot of people go through life without a vision. They just walking through life day to day, like you said, Nicole. And, they don't really know what they're here for. So I think getting a journal would be a good first step. Nicole bought my first journal for Christmas. I've never had a journal before that. So she bought me this journal for Christmas, and I was like, I'm gonna put my, my whys in the journal. And that's what I do. And then, I put that in the journal, and I just helpful information, any purposeful information that I get from reading a book or, listening to like a motivational speaker or whatever, I put all of that in the journal. Like I keep my journal with me. I have it now. So writing your 10 reasons why. It doesn't even have to be 10. Maybe even if you have do you have to have 10, Nicole? Or can you have like less than, or I don't know, 5?
I think it's based upon your personality. Like, maybe when you're starting off, you may start off with those short, 5. And then later on, as you're getting more into your purpose or more vision that you have for yourself, you probably add things along the way that you didn't know that you may have want to conquer in life, So I said, just get started, with finding out. So, far as I had never really thought about, I have a purpose in life. And I just really honestly thought I was just here maybe just to take care of my mother.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think that.
Yeah.
Like they never ask themselves, like, why am I here? Like, what was God's intentions with me when he made me? Yeah, because that's nothing that I ever thought about either until we started working together on our goals. And when I wrote that down, it really was like, oh my God, this, it really gives you that drive, you know.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
yeah. And I just want to share like one of my whys with you all. So I had 6 whys actually. I didn't even have 10. So one of my whys was to genuinely love what I do and be passionate about it. That was one of my whys. So, you know, doing this podcast is really one of the things that I enjoy doing. So I started to really focus on things that I genuinely love to do and it doesn't feel like work. You know, so doing the podcast with Nicole is really fun. I look forward to it. And that's how you know that that's one of your purpose in life, when you enjoy what you're doing and you look forward to doing it every day.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, I have to agree with that, because not saying everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, but no matter what you're doing, as long as you're living in that purpose. When you're living in your purpose, it won't feel like work. You'll enjoy whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
And another thing too about living in your purpose, it's just not selfishly for yourself. This is, you know, about being the person that you were called to be, but also when you're living in your purpose, it's about helping others along the way.
Yeah.
No matter what that looks like. It could be monetary. It could be giving words of advice.
Right.
It could be doing community services, helping your neighbor out. No matter what it is, as long as you're helping other people along the way.
Yeah, and it has to be genuine too.
Yeah.
You can't like do things, you know, do something nice for someone, but then expect them to repay you in some way.
Exactly.
You know, it doesn't work like that. You should want to do things just to genuinely, you know, want to do them. Or if you see that there's a need and you know how to fill that need, then you should want to genuinely do it without respect, without expecting something in return. Yeah.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I know that God gave me this vision of being an entrepreneur so that I can help other people.
Yeah.
That's why I'm striving so hard to succeed. It's not about living for myself, about living in a big mansion, wearing Louis Vuitton every single day. It's actually about helping others. And that includes just helping somebody pay their rent for maybe a few months, putting food on somebody's table, giving them car or bus fare to get to and from work, being able to give a nice tip to that server who's out there struggling. So that's what my purpose is. My purpose is to have my business flourishing so that I can help others out.
Yeah, that's true. So I thought that, you know, writing your whys down was so important, and writing the reasons why you won't give up. And I think that sometimes people get discouraged or, you know, get scared, especially when you write down the reasons why you won't give up. Because sometimes you might feel like, man, a lot of people are going to be depending on me. I don't want to let anyone down. But you really can't think like that. You really have to stay positive. Now, enjoy this ad from our sponsors. So this past Sunday, I watched TD Jake's Sunday sermon. And this past Sunday, he had a guest speaker on there by the name of Pastor Cheryl Brady. And one of the messages that I did receive from her sermon was, she made a very good point when she said to look at your future through the eyes of faith and not the eyes of fear. the scripture reads, "So fix our eyes not on what is seen, but what is unseen. Since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal." From 2 Corinthians chapter 4:18. That scripture was very powerful, just because a lot of people the current situation that a lot of people are in, it may not be a good situation. And they, and they get discouraged because they feel like, well, this is my life right now, and this is all that I have. But God didn't plan that for you. God has better for you. So being able to just stay focused on looking at your future through the eyes of faith and not fear, and just being hopeful and prayerful that things will turn around, and the situation that you're currently in is only temporary. If you have the power as children of God, we have the power to change what we want to change.
Yeah, I agree. There's so many different subjects that are discussed in the Bible, but actually faith is one of my favorite subjects that I love to talk about.
Yeah.
Because it's about believing in what you cannot see, and that's why I love that quote that you just said.
Yeah.
You have to believe in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have to trust what may seem like it's unbelievable. You just have to trust in God. And that's one of the things too, that God would not have given you the vision for yourself, for your dreams, for that business, no matter what, that house you want to live in, that car that you want to drive. If it was not for you, God wouldn't have put that in your vision.
Yeah.
You wouldn't foresee that. And we all get scared. I know, speaking for myself, that's why I have been putting off doing my business for so long, because I was scared. I was nervous. I didn't know if I would be able to do it. Nobody really in my family has, we had people that own, a business. I've only known one family member, honest. Well, maybe two, that have their business. But, nobody ever really has, we talked about before, sat down and said, okay, you can do this. Nobody ever said that to me. So if God has given you that vision, trust in that. Trust in yourself. And also, I did want to kind of bring up, far as something, Tyler Perry, he was at an awards show. And he said that nothing is out of your reach. And I know, just speaking far as when I've seen Tyler Perry, he comes out on stage, he is so motivational. And he always talks about when he first got started at the Regal Theater and how nobody was there. And he got stood up.
When he was doing his plays?
Yeah. When he got stood up at his performance, somebody was supposed to come and then they didn't, and he got stood up. But if he stopped believing in himself, we wouldn't have Tyler Perry today.
Yeah.
The
Tyler Perry we know today.
Yeah. If he be like, are people gonna react to me putting on this dress, this wig? Can I really do this? He kept believing in himself, and he failed along the way so many times, but he kept going.
Yeah, you cannot be afraid of failure.
Yes, exactly. And he's somebody that he's living in his purpose.
Yeah.
He loves what he's doing, and we all know how much he gives back to others.
Yeah.
So he's someone that I definitely admire and very inspirational.
Yeah, I admire him too. I really do.
Yeah.
Because he really came from, humble beginnings.
Yeah, exactly.
And for him to be, the man he is today, I mean, only by God's grace that he is who he is. He wouldn't have been able to do that if he didn't have, God in his life.
Yeah, exactly. So let's kind of talk a little bit about how do you find your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So, far as with me, this is something that Toya has talked about, Latoya Okia, but I was kind of also on this journey myself. You gotta really ask yourself, what is it that you like to do?
Yeah.
What brings you the most joy? You gotta go to a quiet space. You gotta really sit and think about these things.
That's important.
You gotta turn that TV off.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta turn that music off, and you just really gotta think for yourself.
Yeah, that's
what is it that I want to do? Where is it that I want to go in life? And when I really was starting to come into my purpose, and I didn't even know that I was coming into it, I said, you know what? I'm about to get this cable turned off. Remember I told you that, Rashida?
Mm-hmm.
And you was like, what?
Yeah.
And anybody knows me knows that I love my TV. I love my
Your
TV.
shows.
Yes. And actually, before I initially got the cable turned off completely, and it wasn't about the cable was too expensive. That was like part of the thing. That was on the back end of it. Like, okay, I'm paying a lot for this. It's just me. But it was really about, I got to turn this TV off if I'm going to get some things done.
Yeah.
But before that, I just came in the house one day and I said, I don't want to watch all this ratchet TV. And there were certain shows.
Ratchet.
Yeah, I didn't even want that in my spirit anymore. Not that I'm judging anyone by any means, but I'm just like, everyone knows there's certain shows that I had to watch every week. And I just came in here and I just took it off my DVR. And I haven't thought twice about watching those shows. I haven't had a desire. And I know that God was changing me.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the next step, I said, I'm turning this TV off. And I literally probably didn't turn the TV on because I have like my antenna so I can watch some regular TV or whatever the case.
Mm-hmm.
I probably did, or some movies if I want to. I didn't turn this TV on probably for about a week straight.
Mm-hmm.
I got my journal and I just was writing in my journal. Like literally, I was just writing all day, all night. I probably at that point was maybe getting 4 hours of sleep, probably a day, because I was just up, just writing, just constantly writing. And I felt like God was really flowing through me. And when you had said, you finna get your cable turned off, I said, Rashida, I said, I don't mind being uncomfortable to get comfortable.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's how I found my purpose. But I think if you really take that time for yourself, go in a quiet space and really, really think.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah, because I didn't mention that either. And that's a good point too. Like when you do write your reasons why, you know, it is important to get into like a quiet place and really think about your reasons and write them down.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a very important factor, is to get into a quiet place.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I do hope that everyone, you know, listening to this episode has gained some value from what we talked about today. Writing down your why. So I would say my first thing to do, if you really are serious about how to find your purpose, the first thing I would say is to get a journal. Get a journal, and then in your journal, write down your 10 reasons. Write down your reasons why, and then write down your reasons why you won't give up. And like Nicole said, it's very important to get into a quiet place when you do start writing those things down in your journal. And then just once you write your reasons why, go into, look in the mirror and, say those reasons why in the mirror and really commit to yourself that this is what you want and this is what's going to happen. And then sign your name to it, date it, and keep it in your journal. And then, every once in a while, reflect back to it when you feel discouraged or you have a challenging day. You can always go back to the reasons why you decided not to give up and use those reasons why to keep going. So if anyone has questions about today's episode, please feel free to email us or message us on Instagram at Real Conversations 21 or follow our Facebook page, which is Real Conversations with Sheeda and Nikki on our Facebook page as well. But and if anyone has any suggestions, or you all can tell us what you all do. How did you find your purpose? What did you do to find your purpose? Has it helped you? Did you find things out about yourself, that you didn't like or felt like you wanted to change? So we really want to hear from our listeners as well, because you all can teach us things. Just like we're, sharing our valuable information with you. We, want to hear from you all as well.
So, in closing out on today's podcast, our takeaway for today's episode is a quote from Maya Angelou.
Yeah, and that quote says, if you're going to live, leave a legacy. Make a mark on the world that can't be erased. Yes. So I hope you all enjoyed today's episode. Please send us messages, emails. And again, this is Real Conversations with Sheeda and
Nikki.